Jim McBride from the Boston Globe going to join us now to give us the outside view on the New England Patriots. Old hat, Jim, right? Are you bored covering Super Bowls yet?
No, absolutely not. You know, it's a new challenge, new fun, new venue every year, so it never gets old, and I don't take it for granted because you never know when you could hit a tailspin and never get to one of these again. So I'm loving it.
So with that, where do you kind of see this team next to a lot of the previous ones? Seem like from the outside looking in that they were a dominant favorite. Do you look at this team on the same level as some of them?
I don't. I think this team's defense is a lot different than some of the better Patriot teams of the last of this kind of run here, this last 18-year run. Those teams early on were kind of built on dominant defenses and just having. I don't know if you guys remember when Brady was more of like the caretaker of an offense, but this run here over the last 5 years or so is more of Brady just taking control and maybe not a big name defense. That's the major difference I see with this team.
The Eagles obviously got here based on their defense. Is that something that you think might be kind of a underreported matchup in this game, is how this Eagles defense is similar to some of the defenses in the past that have given the Patriots problems because they can get to the quarterback without blitzing?
Yeah, I think that's huge. That's been the kind of the blueprint to beat the Patriots, especially in the Super Bowls. The Giants did it twice. And, clearly the Eagles have the personality. I think of Fletcher Cox and Timmy Jernigan in the middle. These guys can get pressure right up the gut, which is where Brady, likes to step up in the pocket. And if you can get those guys with pressure on Brady, and like you said, without dedicating extra blitzers, because when you do that, he'll just pick you apart in the secondary. But if you can do that out of your base sets, that really gives the Patriots problems. And the Eagles definitely have the personnel to pull that off. So, I think this game is going to be, a really good game. I think it's the key on both sides is the Patriots giving Brady time and the Eagles not giving him time. So it's kind of kind of the same key, just on two different sides of the ball.
Jim McBride with us, Boston Globe. Jim, I've been talking to Mike Gill a lot about this game that took place on December 12th, where the Brady threw a couple interceptions. The Dolphins came back and beat him after a couple weeks before. The Dolphins gave up 35 points. Is there a blueprint in there on how to beat the Patriots with what the Dolphins did in that game?
Yeah, I think the Patriots had a lot of injuries in that game. Chris Hogan had just come back, and he clearly wasn't at full speed. There was a bunch of guys missing on defense, so I think that was kind of just a blip on their screen because they played really well except for that game. It was a Monday night game. It was the end of a long stretch of road games for the Patriots. They had gone to Mexico City. They had been to Colorado Springs, and I think they were just kind of due for a clunker. So that was kind of an outlier more than a blueprint. I think it was just everything kind of just swirled together, and it was a perfect storm for the Dolphins that night.
The Patriots' defensive numbers, and Mike and I have talked about this too, tend to be skewed because they were so bad at the beginning of the season. But is the defense for the Patriots peaking at the right time?
Yeah, absolutely. The first 5 weeks of the season, they gave up 300 yards passing to every quarterback they faced. They gave up 128 points, I believe it was, for the first 4 weeks of the season, and they've only given up 160 since. So clearly trending in the right direction. They had some communication problems early, especially in the secondary with Steph Gilmore was kind of the new quarterback, and he had so used to playing man coverage with the Bills and had a little difficulty adjusting to the Patriots' zone sets and how quickly they adjust from zone to man. And, once he got up to speed, he was fine. The front seven really has a different look this year than it did last year. The three-quarters of the defensive end rotation, Rob Ninkovich retired, Chris Long, you guys know where he is now, Jabal Sheard left for the Colts. So they had to kind of replace that whole edge. And then they lost Hightower in Week 8, which was really huge for them. And the guy that's really stepped up in his absence has been Kyle Van Noy. He's kind of taken this defense and become the communicator and the facilitator. And I think you've seen over the last 8 games or so that this is one of the best defenses in the league. They'll give up some yards, but once you get inside the 20, this is a very stingy defense.
Since we're on defense, what contributions have James Harrison been able to make, and what kind of a quiet pickup or not so quiet pickup was that for the Patriots defense?
Yeah, sounds funny to say a 39-year-old guy infused some youthful enthusiasm into this defense, but he really did. He came to play. I know there was some conspiracy theories out there that, the Steelers let him sign with the Patriots for some inside information. And I kind of found that humorous because this guy from day one has been all about business. He has really, one of the criticisms of him in Pittsburgh was that he didn't work with the younger players, but all the younger guys in New England have been saying, how much he's helped them and developed them. He's really been what they've lacked all year. He's strong enough to set the edge in the run game, and he still has the speed and the leverage to get under guys' pads on the edge and pressure the pocket. So he's been really just what the Patriots have needed. He came around at the right time, and I think he had 40-something snaps all season with the Steelers, and you're liable to see him 40, 45 snaps in the Super Bowl.
Wow. Jim McBride, Boston Globe, Outside View, 97.3 ESPN. Any thought about Gronk, whether he'll play or not, or is it pretty much a foregone conclusion to you?
Yeah, he's going to play. My sources tell me he's pretty much he's in step 4 of the step 5 concussion protocol. The only thing that he needs to get clearance now is a full contact practice, and I expect that to happen either tomorrow or Thursday. And barring a freak setback in practice, another hit to the head or something like that, I think he'll be a full go. He was back in practice on Saturday in full pads, doing football activities, which is step 4 of that protocol. No contact, obviously, but I think that he's trending in the right direction, and I would be stunned if he's not good to go come Sunday night.
Jim, if Belichick actually gave you guys anything and was telling the truth in a room that no one would get the answers out there, what do you think he would say concerns him the most about this Philadelphia team?
I think it's just the unfamiliarity, with these guys. They're so used to most of the teams they play. They've played them so often, but just the unfamiliarity with Doug Peterson's system and Nick Foles is not a gigantic amount of tape on him from this year. I know they can look at past years, but I think the uncertainty more than anything, because these guys like to leave no stone unturned, but they just don't know all the stones out there yet. So I think that would be the biggest concern, he would say.
You also look at Brady and marvel sometimes, but any thought in your mind of how many more runs at this he's going to give it?
I don't see his passion for this dying anytime soon. He still loves to play the game. He's still, as cliche as it sounds, he's still the first guy there and the guy setting the tone every day in practice and in the locker room. And, when you're 40-year-old quarterback who's been in the league 18 years is leading the way, it's kind of hard for the other guys not to fall in order and follow his lead. So he loves it. I don't know that he loves, the whole media obligations of Super Bowl week, but this guy's drive is unlike anyone else's. I just don't see that passion dying anytime soon.
Hey, Jim, I know LeGarrette had a big impact on that team. He's had a big impact on this team. How is the run game? I mean, you think they're missing him, or have they changed without him? How has LeGarrette not been there, kind of changed the dynamics of that team?
Yeah, short yardage pickup and kind of, red zone running is really where they missed him. He had so many of those runs last year, and you always got the feeling if you got inside the 10 and you had LeGarrette in your backfield, you were going to get in that end zone. They let him go in free agency, and they signed Mike Gillislee from Buffalo to kind of be that guy. And while he was a pretty effective runner the first couple of weeks, he had trouble in short yard situations, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. He would kind of get knocked back. Then they brought Rex Burkhead in, and he kind of took over that role, but he got hurt a lot. So I think the consistency and just knowing that LeGarrette was going to run over a guy to get where he needed to go, I think they missed that component of the run game for sure.
So, Jim, for years we had to deal with a coach out here that time's yours. You didn't get much out of him. We get a little more out of Doug Peterson. We know how notorious it is for Bill Belichick. Have you gotten any indication on how much longer you think he's going to coach?
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, he was asked that today a couple of times during his morning availability. He just gave the answer that he usually gives when retirement talk comes up. He says, look, my only focus is on the Eagles right now. My only future plans are getting my team ready for this game. So, he's another one like Brady. I just think that he loves it so much, and the passion's still there. and he took so much time building this program. He talks a lot about building the program in New England and how long it took. And it's funny. He defends coaches a lot, especially coaches that get fired early in the NFL, about how they weren't allowed to kind of put their system in place and how long it takes. And he thinks a lot of times coaches, it's unfair the way coaches are canned after 2 or 3 years without really being able to put their imprint on a program, because it took him a lot longer than 2 or 3 years to do that in New England. So, I just don't see him up and leaving or going anywhere or retiring anytime soon. He just loves it.
Good stuff. Jim McBride from the Boston Globe, live in Minnesota for Super Bowl 52 as the Eagles and Patriots, a rematch of Super Bowl 39. We know what happened in that game. Jim, we appreciate a couple minutes, pal. Thanks so much.
You bet, guys. Take care.